Hi, this is Dan Sullivan. I'd like to welcome you to the Multiplier Mindset Podcast. I'm a fifth child in a family of 7, and I have 4 older brothers and a sister. They're significantly older than me, and then there's a big jump, a whole number of years between my next oldest brother and me. And then there's another big jump, an even bigger jump. So it's 4 years one way, and it's 7 years the next. And then I have 2 younger brothers who are a year apart. In looking at my father's family and my mother's family, I was just surprised one day to discover that both my mother and my father were the 5th child in each of their large families. My mother was 5th of 7, same as me, and my father was the 5th of 9. I don't look too closely at things like birth order and that, but there's something about being the 5th child, especially if you've got significant age differences on both sides, that on the one hand gives you the experience of being in a large family, but in my case, and when I talked to both my mother and father later in their lives, they were kind of only children in large families. So you had this thing that you were always in the middle of a lot of activity in the house and working outside. So you were very familiar with being part of something where you had to cooperate, there had to be teamwork right from the beginning. But also I had this experience of spending a great deal of time by myself and alone. One of the things that emerged as I got older is when I think about my most important childhood experiences, it really was not with my siblings. It was actually with my mother and father. I think by the time the 5th child comes along, the parents have either run out of energy, so there's not real tight supervision of the 5th child, or they really got parenting down pat, so you get the benefit of a very well worked out system on the part of your parents and how the household is run and how children are brought along. And I just had the feeling of a very, very loose kind of supervision. There were some general rules about what you could do and what you couldn't do, but there wasn't much supervision of what you did with your own time. And my sense is that that was an enormous benefit to me personally, given who I am, my personality, and how I like to operate. And so right from childhood, I had this tremendous sense of personal freedom. I knew my parents loved me. I knew my parents cared about me, but there wasn't a lot of oversight in what I did. And so I was able to explore, I was able to investigate, I was able to try things out. This was on my own time, and I had the sense that you can pretty well do anything you want as long as you follow the general rules, but who you're going to be, as I look forward, this is the 1940s and 1950s, when I looked at my life, I had the sense I could just plan things out for myself, and if I had the ability to develop an opportunity for myself, I was going to get supported by my parents. When I achieved something, they were positive about it, but they had no message for me about who I was supposed to be. And in my case, I'm not sure it's great for everybody, but in my case, that was fantastic. By the time I got to leave home when I was 18 years old and then go through college, I never thought that I had missed something in terms of direction from my parents. I'm not sure that you can create a general theory about 5th children, but I know that having the benefit of parental oversight and parental support from 2 individuals who are 5th children and their families, however they might have thought about how they raised anyone else in my family, I think that they pretty well had me down pat. And I think that their treatment of me was really the best possible treatment that I could have had growing up. So I look back with no negativity whatsoever to growing up. I see everything from the 1940s to the 1960s as totally positive and especially enormously liberating for me in terms of who I wanted to be in my life and how things have turned out. Yeah, and I think that the lesson has been that this childhood experience of mine of having a great deal of freedom, but an enormous positive support for any way I wanted to go, I've translated this very consciously into the kind of coaching I do with entrepreneurs. It also really enters into how Babs and I have created the strategic coach in terms of the organization and the team members, and that we give everybody that we work with a lot of room to kind of make up their own mind and to rely a lot on their own experience for the lessons that they need to take the next step, for their goals to jump, what kind of goals they want, how they want to develop. In the entrepreneurial world, I think this is a terrific mindset, both for developing the worldwide client base that we now have. More than 18,000 entrepreneurs have been in coach, and all the team members we have. Our organization is growing. We're not a little company anymore. We're a mid-sized company. And I think that all the team members who have really prospered in Strategic Coach were the ones who could take advantage of a great deal of freedom to decide who they wanted to be and how they wanted to match up their skills with the activities inside of Coach. I credit a lot, insofar as I've been responsible for this, I credit it to the first 18 years of my life as the fifth child of two fifth children. As an entrepreneur, you've wanted to be able to be self-initiating and self-motivating. And my sense is to develop the best possible client base for you, you should choose clients who also do extremely well with being given a lot of freedom to make up their own minds, but give them a great deal of encouragement to any new initiative, any new project, any new goal they have. And that goes exactly the same for the organization of team members who work with you. I think that's an appropriate approach, and I think it's the best possible and most productive outcome that you can have of growing an entrepreneurial company inside of an entrepreneurial world.